Usually when we start, we say Alhamdulillah, and Alhamdulillah because we need to realize that we're blessed, we're living comfortable lives. We always say this: we have running water, we have electricity. In this well-lit hotel room, I'm pointing to it again. There's too many lights, and it's supposed to be an eco-friendly hotel. So we have that, and we survived COVID-19. But other countries, they're not in a similar situation, and a lot of the countries that are accepting our recyclables are also edge on the part of, they're developing countries, and they're just accepting them because it sort of generates, it plays into that business of processing waste, and it might not be done in the most environmentally or socially friendly manner. Many of us who are not involved in the waste management sector, or who are not aware of how things work once we, dispose of our waste in the garbage chute, um, think that, it gets magically sorted out. What usually happens is it goes, if there is a material recovery facility, that's where things begin, and that's where the journey to either, landfill or diversion from landfill happens. And this diversion from landfill is what is usually not very well understood. We think that once we put something in the segregation bins, we call it recycling, but that's not recycling. We're just segregating. And recycling is technically, it comes at the very end if it really happens.
Next month, we will start another pilot project for the source segregation in Sharjah. We started last year with Safi, ahlanwasahlan. We worked on 500 apartments, and the result was good. We covered 500 apartments along with the awareness sessions. So people showed a very good level of participation. And we hope in the incoming years, whole Sharjah and whole UAE will be participating in such projects, and it will be a culture which is being done on a daily basis. In this case, we will be assured that no huge investments are going to be invested in the sorting facilities. And also, all emirates in Sharjah will achieve zero waste to landfill strategy or goal, which will make UAE one of the best countries in the world in this field. Waste, at the end of the day, we do consider it as a raw material where it is going to be converted to assure the green and circular economy in our facilities and in Sharjah, while Sharjah is spending a lot of money just to assure that all the waste is going to be converted and recycled.
Plastic is cheap, so it's cheap to produce. And right now, the oil prices are down, right? So recycling or recyclables are not that lucrative. They're not a highly sought after commodity because of the price. It's always been cheaper to produce PET from scratch. You need a special facility in order to be able to create PET, our PET from PET. As a MRF right now, you're handling a lot of recyclables, and there are buyers that would bid on the price. How has that changed during this period, especially with COVID-19 and with the changes in the oil price?
So basically, for the MRF, I've been working in material recovery facility since 2009. The prices beginning of 2012 till 2015 was very high for plastics, especially even fibers as well, steel, cans, and aluminum. So that time, the recyclables price were very high, and we were doing good in terms of commercial side out of MRF. After 2015, prices started to drop too much significantly, especially after China and India. They banned receiving all recyclables, plastics, and fibers. Almost the prices dropped to the half. From, for example, if 1 ton of PET is 2,000, it became 1,000. If the cardboard, same story, it became to the half, 50%. And this creates a big mess in this field, actually, not only in UAE or in Sharjah, the whole world. If you hear that time, a lot of companies in very developed countries like the States, like UK, they started burying their recyclables in the sand till China accept again. Why that? Because they don't have that good infrastructure for recycling facilities. While the good manner is that they should keep it and start immediately working in recycling facilities. So I consider it a government's issue or poor planning, you can say. Nowadays, after COVID-19, the situation completely is changed. Even the prices became more worse than before. Almost it's dropped by 25% extra. So the recyclables, the operation cost where we spend on recovering 1 ton of PET, for example, now increases while the price is decreased. So actually the cost for PET, as an example, is higher than the value selling it. But again, now we are going to work on our own recycling facilities in Sharjah. We will have a new recycling facility for HDPE and polypropylene, the high density polyethylene and polypropylene. Very soon, we already signed a contract with Unilever. So Unilever, they will use all their plastic packaging out of recycled materials. And we are working with them now for finishing the first phase of this plan. Hopefully, by next year, within a year, we will have our own recycling plastic facility.
I sort of had a question or just something I've been thinking about lately. So a lot of firms, they normally put the burden of recycling on the consumers, right? So like the products, you can see that a lot of plastic is being used, and they're this disposable small packaging that would end normally really quick, and then it's completely upon the consumer to recycle it. However, I just want to think or just talk about or discuss, or if anyone could give me an answer to that, what on whom should the burden of recycling be more, the producers who producing the environmentally detrimental packaging, or the consumers who have the responsibility to just put all of their products for recycling all of the time, like all of the different products they're using? So should it be half and half, or just everyone should reduce their thing little by little and just go to more sustainable alternatives?
At the end of the day, if the producer has no, if there are no much alternatives, which is viable and for all people, not all countries are rich. It's very difficult to stop such plastic, for example, manufacturing. Why? Because the business of plastic is more than $100 billion per year. So a lot of employees are working in this field, a lot of companies, a lot of manufacturers who are manufacturing the plastic recycling machinery. So if you will stop such business, and governments even, they cannot stop such business because it will cost them a lot. So from an economy aspect, it will be very difficult. But I hope in the future we will find now a lot of researchers, a lot of doctors, they are looking for alternatives for plastic, but it should be again viable commercially, where people could accommodate and pay such certain money like what they pay for plastic, which is considered cheap and everyone can go with it. So hopefully in the near future, they will find alternatives. There are a lot of companies around the world, or a lot of countries around the world. They started much earlier than us in this field. This field, even BIA has almost 12 years in this region. There are countries who started 40 and 50 years ago. It's not only 10 or 12 years. So these people, after huge researches and studies, they found that if they will not manage the root cause, which is the source segregation, then the whole chain will be broken. So they have to start with the people, with the community itself. The people will start reducing their waste, reusing it, then recycle it, segregate at source to send the recyclables separately. the organic, our food waste separate, the hygiene waste separate, the hazardous waste separate.
We feel sorry for people who take the extra step and then, you know, for their work to go to nothing, because at the end of the day, you know, some of these are not going to get recycled. Clean plastic is preferable, and you'll find a lot of businesses that are sprouting up, that are collecting, you know, PET only, because they want to use it again in their facility to produce clothes, to produce uh, mostly, you know, t-shirts, because it's easy again and it's cheap. They're encouraging the printing of t-shirts uh, from recycled, you know, plastic bottles, but you know, you're not going to solve the world's problems by printing more t-shirts out of recycled plastic. The t-shirts are releasing microplastics. They're telling you it's a good quality, but that's not the way, you know, to they're taking the cream of the crop in what is recyclable, and they're dealing with it. And what are you doing about the problems, the actual problems? How are you going to incentivize the recycling of other not readily recyclable material?
It's cool in about, let me see, in 2016, our principal introduced like no plastic campaign, and from 2016, we're not allowed to bring plastic bottles. So we always bring like flasks or any other like metal type of bottle, except aluminium, because yeah, it can contaminate the water which you're drinking. We use that, and bottled water also, yeah, it's made of plastic, so it's not allowed.
So it's amazing the level of awareness that the students. So we had a session for schools before this one, and very inspiring entries. We had a competition for them to share how they can help us adults become more conscious about the waste that we're generating. And all of them are very conscious, and they're you know, they're implementing it within their households, and they have to report back in the school about what they're doing at home. So in a lot of, I was just saying also that in a lot of our conferences, you know, the conferences that we go to, the business conferences, they always say, "We'll start with the schools. The kids are the future. You know, they're their hope." But the thing is, you know, the kids are doing all right. The schools are doing all right. It's the adults that you know, that need the work. From my experience, the greatest contributor to plastic waste is packaging at the end of the day. And some of the packaging, while it can help maintain the lifetime or the food safety of the product, we are not aware that, you know, it's not recyclable because it takes so much energy, and so it's very it's not cost friendly to recycle it. Uh, for me, it was really annoying. Speaking of, you know, this period when there's a lot of candy being opened and, you know, exchanged, the candy wrappers, a lot of them are not getting recycled, right? The chips that students or kids are having is coming in packaging where it's not, uh, you know, it's not cost effective to recycle. It's multi-layered packaging, and it's made in a certain way to maintain, all right, the I don't know, the crunchiness, but it's not getting recycled. In order to be able to do anything about this, it needs to be, again, the volume of collecting these things. And there's this is where the problem is. You know, you need a collection space, and you need to store it in order for it to be, you know, the tonnage to be viable enough for anyone buying it, you know, to buy it. So this is I think the issue, the main issue with anything that is potentially recyclable, or anything, you know, if you want to do anything about any of the waste items that we're producing, and no one is willing, or no one will take the responsibility. No one wants your trash. I mean, you know, if it's not going to bring them money, you know, if the storing at the end of it, the sale price is not that lucrative, why would they store it?
You are talking about millions of bags on a daily basis because the plastic bags are contaminated. There are no companies who are able to recycle 150 tons of the plastic bags on a daily basis, even worldwide. So what we do is that That's why we have our waste to energy plant to come very soon next year, just to recycle such waste and convert it into electricity. Otherwise, we have to send it to landfill. So this is one of our major issues in this region and worldwide, that the plastic bags are being, given and disposed very easily. If you go to any grocery and buy stuff with 25 fills, you will get a plastic bag. So it's a part of our culture. You go to Carrefour, you will receive 50 bags. Once you go home, you don't know what to do with it. You'll use it again for garbage. So that's a very major issue we are facing, and the whole world is facing it worldwide. So this one, telling you it's going to be recycled with this size, no, it will not even appear between millions of bags we are receiving every day. It will end up in the landfill nowadays, and in the near future, it will be going to the waste energy plant.
There is a misconception that because you have a huge facility and you're developing waste to energy, that we don't need to worry. Should we be worried?
Yeah, I got your point, Safi. So basically, see, waste to energy, if you go to the waste hierarchy, always it will be the one before last, which is converting the waste into electricity or into power. So basically, we will start with reduce, reuse, recycle. Then you will go to the waste conversion, either to electricity or to gas or whatever. Then you will go to landfill. So it is number 4. There are 3 concepts before waste to energy, started by reduce, reuse, recycle.
Why is recycling being encouraged so much? Why do we care so much about promoting recycling when we need to be aware that recycling is not easy?
Let's talk about the fiber cups. Once you go to Starbucks or to any other coffee shop, this one actually is not recycled. It is, but it will cost a lot. So recycling companies, they do not prefer to proceed with it. Let us talk about the packaging once it's contaminated. So once you go to McDonald's, to Hardee's, to all fast food, definitely once you put a burger inside it and ketchup will be around with cheese, once you give it once you throw it in the bin and it comes to be, and we recover it and we sell it back to the recycling companies, it will be not preferable at all. Why? Because it's too much contaminated. This packaging itself is light, it's not heavy, and once you send it to any recycling facility, they'll spend a lot of money by washing it and cutting it and whatever. So they consider it not a good option for them. They take it in a very cheap price, just to mix it with the good material, to have at the end of the day a good mixture out of the end product.
When China stopped accepting the recyclables, a lot of waste was being sent back or not being accepted for recycling. And this waste was coming from very developed countries who had the awareness campaigns going on for a long time to reduce, reuse, recycle, and very conscious, residents or citizens who have been diligently separating. But then again, we come back to the issue that despite that segregation, a lot of that waste was not being accepted for recycling because of the value that is lost, I think, or the value is it's not valuable enough to be recycled compared to creating it cheaply, creating products cheaply from scratch. So I agree with you that we, the people, have a role to play, and this is why we've been working together on this project. But also, I think we cannot escape the fact that as long as products are there that are not conducive to getting recycled efficiently or are not valuable enough to be recycled, there's going to be an issue. There's going to be a problem, right?
Yes, you are right. So let me just comment on this, Safi. Basically, once we talk about the recyclables being segregated in the material recovery facilities or in the countries who are implementing source segregation, it would be, in my opinion, the country or the government in this country issue that they don't have recycling facilities. So once China will stop or ban importing recyclables, definitely the country itself or the city municipality itself, they should find a solution where they are going to build a recycling facility for plastics, a recycling facility for fibers, cardboard and paper, a recycling facility for steel and aluminum. So at the end of the day, Safi, saving the environment is, in my opinion, is a social responsibility and even a governmental responsibility. It doesn't matter if recycling facilities are commercially viable or not. Our environment is much more important than commercial aspect in this field. And this is worldwide proved that once you go with any recycling facility, do not expect that the recycling facilities or sorting facilities are commercially viable. The goal behind it is to save our environment, ozone layer, the carbon footprint, our lands for the new generations, the pollution. So these concepts are very, very important. We don't pay anything to dispose our waste, honestly. Here in Sharjah, as an example, there is no bill that I'm disposing my waste going to municipality. It's all free of charge. In European countries, you pay. They have a lot of other concepts than our concept. They have pay as you throw, for example. We only charge companies, private companies, whom are sending their waste to landfill, just to assure they will follow our approach and send the recycled material separately or segregate, not to send mix one, which will cost us hundreds of thousands to segregate in our facilities. For the companies in Sharjah, in order to urge them to segregate at source or to send us a clean materials where we can recycle it and save the environment, not to send it to landfill. So at the time companies send wood separately, they will not pay money. They will send it to us free of charge. Once they send any recyclable material separated, like a steel, like plastics, whatever, so at the gate they pay zero and they deliver it there and we take care of it. While we spend some money for operations, but we have no issue. This is just to encourage and assure that companies, at the end of the day, companies are looking to reduce their operation cost and to reduce their the money they pay here or there. So we urge them, please send us separated materials, not mixed waste, and you will pay nothing. At the time you will send the mixed waste, there would be a penalty where you will pay too much, 100 dirham or 150 dirham per ton. So it's your choice. So definitely they'll find a way. They will assign team whom will segregate the waste there, especially the construction companies. And this is one of the ways we are following.
When we have these sessions, we have a lot of content and we have a lot of resources that we can make available, but we have the means right now, but we're looking to make it more accessible to more people, hopefully. And that way we'll be able to, the idea is for us to be able to make informed decisions. So it's very easy to get distracted by, first of all, it's good PR for companies to promote themselves as doing the environmentally responsible thing by having that bin there or here. But at the end of the day, is it just, for us seeing the actual problem, it just makes me feel like we're ignoring the problems and focusing on the easy things. So should we leave on a more hopeful note? On a more hopeful note, with companies that are willing to do things or willing to invest into the infrastructure to maybe divert more waste from landfill, and hopefully, innovations that are coming up in dealing with this waste, and people who are more conscious about investing into the solutions, not necessarily for profit, but because they believe that it's the right thing to do. And hopefully, because at the end of the day, when we, like I said, when we're talking about people, we are all working in and we have the new generation, and we can all be influential in whatever community or whoever we are in contact with. And hopefully the message will spread from one person to the other, and it's, you know, that contagion of responsibility will take over. And I think we're getting there somehow in certain milieus, I would think, and it's we're starting to think more about our impact, or being pressured into thinking more about our impact in certain cases, whatever works. If the source of our energy was renewable, um, is it okay for us to keep producing items like these, for example, the one that I have in the picture? It's just something that, you know, makes me question why we do these things. Any thoughts? So this is something that you're supposed to squeeze in order to reduce your stress.
Plastic was only discovered in the 1900s. So what will we do with the plastic that is already like in landfills? And like what will we do with the plastic that's already been used? Is there any alternative way to like eco-friendly way to like uh, um, other than decomposing, do we have another way to get rid of it?
There you go. That's a wonderful question. So go ahead, Des.
So basically, Ihsan, you are asking for the bags which is already being landfilled or buried for the last hundreds of years.
Any
Yes.
plastic is being landfilled.
Yeah, so these bags basically, Ihsan, the thing which I can guarantee to you is that in Sharjah itself, we have our landfill which is there for 25, 30 years. We are going to remediate this landfill to again recover all recyclables or all materials landfill over there. And we are going to send it to an energy plant in order to convert to generate electricity out of these ones. But worldwide, see, decomposing plastics, it will take thousands of years in order to be decomposed. So I don't think it's going to be many of these bags, while it is only 100 years old, most of them are in the landfills. I don't think once you open the landfill, you will find it decomposed. It's still in its original shape, maybe a little bit contaminated, maybe decomposed in a very small scale. But I think we have to recover it all, remediate the landfill, open the landfills again, screen all the waste over there, send it to waste to energy plants, or maybe if some of it could be recycled, we can send it to recycling facilities. But what happened, Ihsan, we need people starting from today to do or to act better than our old generations. So you are the new generation, Ihsan. It seems you are a young guy, and I think you and your colleagues could change the world better than us. Even we became old now. See, my hair is very white, Hassan.
What we don't realize is everything that, you know, we're living in plastic. Essentially, everything is made partially from plastic. So my another horror scenario is, you know, what if they just unleash this plastic eating something into this hotel, for example, and it just So there you go. There's another horror story for you. We have interns with us, and they've worked a lot on researching. They're called the big plastic companies, essentially, because they produce a lot of the plastic that's in the market, that's on the supermarket shelves. There are innovations that are happening, and we cannot lose hope. And that's the point of you know of the work that we're doing. We're also doing a lot of research in order to see what are the challenges and what we need to be working on, and what to recommend for anyone who's looking to join university or to complete their higher studies. You know, what problems are there in order for them to focus on and hopefully solve in the future.